But other than that, we ain't nothing, just good old boys. Good old boys, we're all the same. Ain't no way we'll ever change.
Good morning. Welcome to the Wade and Carter Show.
Thank
I'm
you,
Ash.
sir.
He's Brandy's the birthday boy. Happy birthday to you, my friend.
Thank you, brother. Glad to be here.
Glad you're here. Glad you
Would
made
call
it.
Another trip around the sun?
61 of them done.
Absolutely no big deal.
No big deal. They aren't once you get older. They're really not, are they? 20,
No.
maybe 25.
See, you have those important birthdays when you become a 13. You're a teenager. When
Yep.
you're 18, 21.
16 when you can drive.
And then the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, the zero birthdays are pretty big. But yesterday, my daughter Katie turned 26. And she was like, Dad, it's just no big deal. 26. What is that?
she can say that when she's got 60 more years to go.
Isn't that
You
something?
can't say that when you got 20.
25, yeah.
But I agree. I think as you know,
I feel
50
good.
was no big deal.
Very blessed.
But happy birthday to you, man.
Young family, got Donnie. Donnie keeps me young.
That she does.
Keeps me young. Well, she's killing me.
Or trying to send you to an early grave. I'm
Yeah.
not sure which.
Yeah, she's working me to death, but she makes me jog down, get measured for the urn, and then jog back. It's unbelievable.
Hope it's a nice one.
It'll be nice.
Welcome to the South Texas TV studios. It's the Wade and Carter Show.
Wade and Carter weather brought to you by the great folks at AT Deerland Feed. It's 72 degrees in Victoria with a high today of only 92. I say only 92. I mean, that's not bad. And by the way, for the rest of the week, Wednesday, Thursday, 93, 93, 92, 94.
Right about where we are.
Seems that we've skated past the dog days of 105, and the 72 in the morning is nice. I walked out last evening. I had to go, or got to go. I went to an event that involved Michael Cloud in Rockport, but I had to go to Rockport first. And coming back, I think I was talking to you. I could see I'm going due north. I'm out there by McFadden on 77 coming towards Chubby's where you turned across the river. And in my panorama from like Edna to Beeville, you're on that wide open flat land. Ash, it was a lightning show extraordinaire. There were different levels of clouds and even some holes in the clouds, and every now and then the lightning would be orange, and you could see when you thought it was hitting the ground, things would really light up. By the time I got home, I had talked to Sheriff Louderback over in Jackson County, and
Reportedly a tornado.
he said there was a tornado. They lost electricity, lots of rain. We got a smattering. We got a little rain at the house, but not a lot. But it cooled everything off. It was like John Paul Hull says, friends meet friends. Tonight, Palace Bingo. We're trying always to
Birthday
market
bingo.
it. We're calling it Birthday Bingo. Come on out. No gifts over $50. And
That's just for me.
I've been prepping Dawn for the idea that Ash and I might, as a publicity stunt, split a piece of cake.
Yes, because we'd have to.
For
Cheat
my
day.
birthday. She hasn't really acquiesced.
Not yet.
Not yet.
She will. If I just show up at the table with a piece of cake and 2 forks, what's she going to do?
It'll be like a surprise.
Yes.
For me?
Yeah, fake it when...
What? Chocolate, okay?
Okay. There's no other kind.
So my mom used to always, did you have those traditions with your mom? They weren't even necessarily spoken traditions, but it always seemed to happen on your birthday, like spaghetti night or whatever. My mom always made what they called a yellow sheet cake.
With chocolate icing?
Chocolate icing.
Yeah, that's good.
Man, I loved it.
Yeah. Shafliki was kind of our birthday dinner. It's a
I'm not surprised.
Slovakian
I'm not
dish.
surprised. Some communist-derived sustenance.
Yes. Homemade noodles and stewed cabbage.
T-Lad says, I do listen, when I was invincible, before I was smart enough to know that I was going to live this long, I really thought I would expire at about 45. But I used to
Remember when 45
it
was
was
old?
an old man. I used to get the little thing of pre-made icing. You know what I'm trying to? It was, we'd eat it like pudding, man. It was so good.
By the spoonful?
Oh, goodness. Yeah, who needs the cake? The cake was just a way to get the icing into your mouth.
I agree. The icing was the best part. Still is.
I don't, I used to joke, and I've joked with you folks, that if I ever cheat on Dawn, it'll be at Whataburger with a double meat, double cheese. The reality is I don't miss not eating lots of sweets. Every now and then, like, I want the taste of homemade ice cream with a little extra vanilla.
Yep.
But I don't live for. There's Aunt Betty checking in. Give me I think which one is it over there? You know which one it is. I'm not sure which one it is. No, it's the switch on the right, and it's the yellow one. Wait. No, not that. No, left. Up. Where are my crickets at? Aunt Betty, love you. Oh, hey, am I on the air? It was great that day she called.
The yellow one. It's the purple button.
It's the purple one. For me, it's yellow. She sent me a beautiful card yesterday. She did. I got a beautiful card. I actually got it the other day, and like a kid,
in time?
I waited. Yeah, and who does that? It's usually happy belated. They got a whole section.
Did you let her know that the check must have fallen out somewhere between here and Plainview?
For just a moment, for just a second, I thought, what if there's a $5 bill inside this card?
There wasn't.
But she said, you don't seem your age because you're witty and bright and you have wisdom and you're this and that. And she says, before you get a big head, realize that all of those were ancestrally bequeathed to you. I inherited it from her side of the family. It is funny. I don't know what you folks do if you reflect on your birthdays, if you look at what could have been, what should have been. Hopefully you look back and say, look at what has been and what's going to be.
And you're not a has-been.
Right? But I do find myself, I think of my father a lot, and I joked with you the other day that I'm a much younger man at 61 than my dad was at 61, but I'm nowhere near as smart as my dad was at 61. I can remember things my dad told me for him 25 years ago. And that I was like, yeah, that's when I was, I'm 35 years old. I've got a very young family, and I'm starting to go, you know what, Dad? I think you're right. Yep, would it be small?
Because I guess we all now know how Mr. and Mrs. Carter brought in the new year way back when.
Yeah, and then it is a weird dynamic.
I hadn't really thought of that. Thank you for putting that in my head.
It was an annual event. Yeah. It was an annual deal.
Apparently only worked once.
Right? Craziness.
Or they stopped after you were born.
Be small. Congrats to the Texas Rangers. Let's go into the Astros update. Brought to you by the wonderful folks at First State Bank of Louise. I'm fairly certain Patricia Nagel has already checked in. Friendliest bank anywhere. They're up early because they're working hard to open new accounts and make new loans. The Rangers
to loan servicing centers, to loan processing centers, so that they can make decisions timely. They don't go nationally on these things. They're all done locally.
They can tell you no from almost any location. Astros win last night. Win. Justin Verlander comes out, throws a gem, pitches 8 innings plus. Bobby Abreu comes in and shuts down the Mariners.
5-1 final.
Maldonado with a timely hit. I'm trying to think who got on.
Dubon was on in front of him, wasn't it?
Dubon got on. Maldonado brought him in. Dubon brought somebody in. But at the end of the day, Yordan Alvarez hit a bomb into right field. And then later, Kyle Tucker hit one that went over the upper deck scoreboard and hit the restaurant up there where you're not supposed to have to worry about balls coming in. Astros were up early and often. Verlander pitched a gem. And
Dubon singled, scored Abreu. Then Maldonado doubled, scored Dubon. And then Altuve singled and scored Maldonado. Then Alvarez hit that home run. And Tucker hammered one.
They did good.
And then the Mariners got on the board with a sympathy run in the ninth.
Yeah, Julio Rodriguez, very, very exciting. Is he a rookie?
Second-year player.
He is a fine player. In fact, he may be one of the few players who's a second-year starter who you have to go, guess what? He's better than our Jeremy Pena. And he is. Julio Rodriguez is a star.
We had a game and a half on Seattle in the wild card race.
Yeah.
And we're 2.5 back of the Rangers.
Is this true?
No, I don't think
Except
so.
for a picture.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I don't either. It's just all. But Astros win. Verlander pitches a Jim. How many strikeouts did he have? He struck the side out twice.
Verlander had 8 Ks in 8 innings.
How many walks?
1.
It's pretty good.
Just 3 hits.
And by the way, that Luis Castillo, who pitches for the Mariners, is a stud. He's what is he?
14 and 8. Yeah.
He is a stud.
He struck out 8 in 6 innings.
And we lit him up. He had a little slider that came down, and it was down and in. And all that happened was Yordan Alvarez just bent his knees to change his plane, and he hit that ball a ton. So, yeah, Astros win in dominant fashion. The magic number for the Rangers now stands at 4. Any combination of Rangers wins. They only have 5 games left. Rangers wins and or Astros losses. They go 2, we lose 2, they clinch the division. And I'm not so sure.
And the Rangers won last night 5-1 as well over the Angels.
I'm not sure clinching the division matters to me, but we need to take care of business in Seattle to get into the playoffs. And then we'll play somebody like Minnesota or somebody like that and roll on.
Not sure how.
Tonight, Framber Valdez on the mound. I don't know who pitches for them. It ain't Framber Valdez. We have a pitching advantage, no doubt about it. Hope the Astros play well tonight.
1 more against the Angels tonight? No, 2 more against the Angels tonight and tomorrow. And then the Rangers have 4 against Seattle to close out the season.
And those 4 against Seattle, if Seattle, let's just say, could sweep the table with the Rangers, if the Astros win 2 out of 3, and if the Mariners go up there and beat up on the Rangers in Seattle, in Seattle, then we could win the division. But if that happens, I think mathematically, right, the Rangers could end up out of the playoff. Mathematically,
yeah, they could.
It's not going to happen. The Rangers are playing great baseball.
But
that could never happen to the Rangers.
Never.
No, they could never have that happen. I call it the Bruce Bochy effect, and he's legit.
Yeah,
He's done a good job managing that team. So
You'd probably have to go back, but he's the guy that I wish they would have hired instead of Dusty Baker back in the day. But
well, so let me
too
run
late.
something by you. It's never too early or inappropriate to speculate about managerial change. Let's just say that Dusty says, man, this just took more out of me this year than I thought it would, and I want to enjoy my family, and I'm 75 years old, and I'm already clearly a Hall of Famer, and I'm just going to relax. I got to
sit back and take Medicaid. And
it takes me 5 years to be eligible for the Hall as a manager. I mean, I want to be in before I'm 80. I'm going to go ahead and resign. Do you consider, Astros fans, given his proximity to and his affinity for the program, do you consider Jeff Bagwell?
And the fact that he's sort
Jim
of becoming
Crane
a little
loves
bit,
him.
and he's becoming a little bit more prominent in what he's been doing around the Astros
Is
lately.
Jeff Bagwell potentially
Grooming?
a la Larry Dierker? Larry Dierker had never managed a ball game in his life. He was
but
in the booth.
Dierker had a pretty good baseball mind, though, for anybody that remembers listening to those broadcasts.
No
and
doubt
watching
about
them.
it.
He was pretty
But
sharp.
Jeff Bagwell's a Hall of Famer. He was Rookie of the Year. I mean, now I know that doesn't make you a good coach, but Jeff Bagwell certainly has a standard of excellence that if it were to permeate the locker room would be a champion effort. So while you say that, let me throw this back at you.
Champion effort for a guy that's never won a championship?
Solid. Good comment. So, okay, to answer that, what about Lance Berkman? What about Lance Berkman? He's the skipper at Houston Christian now. I realize that's a long way from the big leagues, but baseball's baseball. Stavino would tell you that. Terry Poole will tell you that. Just give me different pieces on the chessboard.
No pressure at Houston Christian. Lots of pressure at Houston Astros.
It's Lance Berkman.
He's not doing it for the money.
He's Lance Berkman. I mean, I think Lance Berkman. I would be the guy that said, "I'll give Fat Elvis a chance."
Does he get a shorter leash or a shorter runway to try to get something done?
How much of a runway do you need, right? If I hand you this Ferrari and you go out and go 60 and 102, then I say you're gone.
Ferrari that's misfiring every once in a while.
I think that's an interesting concept because at some point you've got to replace Dusty Baker, and I don't know anybody else in the bigs that I want to go get. Is it totally implausible to go get A.J. Hinch back?
Yeah, he's not coming back.
There you go. Maybe Lance
And I
Berkman?
don't think he's done anything in Detroit that would say, you know what, he's the guy we need.
There you go. Astros update brought to you by the great folks at First State Bank of Louise. Get in there, open up free checking, free savings, open up both. How about one for the little brother, one for the big brother? They each get a gift. Go in there and get it done. Now, let me throw this at you while we're having conspiracies. Ash and I have agreed, coming at it from different angles, but just we talk to you folks all the time about the casual observation of what's going on, that we live at kind of 30,000 feet looking down on what's going on, and it becomes fairly easy to go, well, we told you that was going to happen. Well, we told you that didn't start with a bat, that kind of stuff. Pretty easy when you just watch it every day for 20 minutes, every day. We told you last week, late in the week, that Joe Biden would not be the Democrats' nominee for president in 24. Many of you probably scoffed. I don't blame you. What's going to happen? What's going to change? Do you know that we talked about Hillary Clinton being back out in the public eye? You haven't heard from Hillary Clinton in 5 years. Hillary Clinton's back out there talking about the Russians influenced our election. We need integrity.
Quietly
blah, blah, blah.
started up the Clinton Foundation again, which nobody seemed to question where any of that money went.
Billions
4 years
of
ago,
dollars.
5 years ago, whenever
Billions
it was.
of dollars.
7 years ago, I guess.
So she may not be viable, but she's laying the groundwork. I've decided that the one who's going to come in at the last minute is going to be one of the puppeteers that's been handling Joe Biden. I'm convinced that the Democrat nominee for president in 24 will be Michelle Obama. I believe it. I believe that's who they're going to find a way. And I even visited with our own congressman yesterday. And I said, I'm not trying to be a conspiracy buff, but what if in those behind-the-scene meetings that we all know happen, the behind-the-scene conversations that nobody's privy to, what if Joe Biden were to say, Joe Biden's camp said to Trump's camp,
Michelle Wilson-Hawkins says everyone has said that forever, Brent.
well, Michelle, maybe you should get a little radio program. No, but seriously, I don't think everybody has said forever that Michelle Obama was going to be the presidential nominee in 24. I think everybody thinks that Joe Biden was going
to finish the job. Yeah. But I think the timeline is sped up for the Democrats, and I tend to agree with you.
Yeah.
And here's part of the reason.
I mean, if that's what she has thought, good for her. She's on top of it.
And think about it, though. Until a couple of weeks ago, I don't think anybody thought Joe Biden wasn't going to be the guy. Right now they're making excuses why ABC yesterday and all the pundits in an ABC poll that shows Donald Trump 10 points ahead of Joe Biden if the election were to happen today. And they almost came unglued at how they had to try to spin that poll to reflect something that it wasn't and isn't.
Well, what do you think about
the
possibility that maybe you've got Biden's camp and the DOJ talking to Trump's camp and the DOJ, and something along the lines of, hey, look, it's time for Joe to go. His health isn't great. It's time for a change. Joe wants to be the leader that unifies the nation. He wants his legacy to be unification. He's going to pardon Donald Trump of all 91 charges of everything involved in exchange for Trump agreeing not to run in 24.
Trump won't do it.
Okay. So Trump's going to stay and fight the fight. Should we answer
And he
that call
needs
with
to.
no caller ID?
Sure, why not? Even more fun.
Good morning, Wade and Carter. You're live on radio. Who we got?
Happy birthday, Brent. We love you.
I appreciate that.
That was it.
There it was. There
No idea
you
who
have
that
it.
was, but they managed
But
to
hey, we
block
took
the
a
caller
chance.
ID. We
If you
did.
dial 894-4020.
Could have
we'll
been a whole
answer the
lot
phone.
worse than that, but we appreciate that. Let's take a break and let's get
appreciate
back
that caller.
to politics on the other side of this break. Alan's Wrecker Service, 578-6300. Alan might be about the only one that can pull this country out of the ditch.
75-ton train. He can upright all of our wrongs. Reach out to Alan for all your towing needs. He's the best of the best of the best. Nobody is close. When the other guys get in trouble, they call Alan. Hey,
He had
we
a
got
red
problem.
Silverado on the back of a truck yesterday. Saw them driving by.
I see him all the time. The other day, he had a City of Victoria pickup on the back of his flatbed.
Oh, we know who they
Between
call.
the Postal Service and our city, Alan makes a living. The VCS companies power our studio
They
with
power the South Texas TV studio and the Wade and Carter show.
9000 series, Samsung behind us, iPhones. The new iPhone 15 coming out in platinum or titanium. Since they haven't really changed the phone, they just changed the case. But the only locally owned and operated
It's got more
AT&T
power.
store has got it. Reach out to them, Cheswick Furniture, for over 100 years. Cheswick and Love make your house a home. Reach out and find out why you just always do better at Cheswick. And then Veracruz today on a pre-call to Tuesday. Nothing better than going to Veracruz on a Tuesday, getting a good hot plate of Tex-Mex
And then going back tomorrow for Caldo.
after you've played bingo.
Yep.
Come on.
Ain't going to get any better than that.
Who
Speaking
says
of
there's
which,
nothing to do in Victoria?
tonight, Brent's birthday bingo.
Where
Palace
friends
bingo.
meet friends.
We'll see you there. It's about 7:30 tonight.
Yeah, it starts at 7:30. I used to
I
say
heard
get
somewhere
there at
last month like
6:30.
$500,000 in winnings went out the door.
Yeah, I don't get there until 7. See that Project Tickle Pink? You know that's Bob Constantine
Yep. He's asking,
incognito.
is tonight bingo? It
you
is.
know it is, Captain
Yep.
Kirk. Be there and get the con set up.
Stephen Kidder says Fed can only drop the Fed charges. State prosecutors aren't letting their spotlight go. So,
There you go.
That's good call. Scott
So
Chomp goes
if
in.
something like that ever happened, we would know that it was an epic conspiracy to do so.
There's Brent Anderson. John Paul Hall says, what's Craig Biggio doing these days? He seems more coach-like than Bags. And I mentioned that yesterday when you and I were kind of discussing potentially who could be the next one. I think Biggio might be a better candidate than Bagwell.
You think I'm personally a little bit annoyed that Bagwell kind of clings around the program. I am.
Why'd they bring Reggie Jackson in? Dude.
Yeah, come on. As if he's good at anything besides playing. He was a terrible PR guy. He was a terrible whiny baby as a player.
I don't think he ever coached anywhere.
No. All he does is collect cars. He's rich. And good for him. I mean, would I love to meet him? Sure. But do I want him coaching my program? No. Well,
No, I don't
so
think you put Reggie
what
as
if you
coach.
put let's make no mistake. It's-
Biggio manager, Bagwell bench coach,
and
third base
Berkman as
coach?
hitting coach. You put the Killer Bees as the managerial staff of the Astros. How much fun could that be? And isn't it about fun? You've got a veteran ball club with lots of talent. You've got Dana Brown as your GM who's bringing in new talent.
Apparently dropped off significantly this year from last in Dana's first year, but
But
we'll give him a pass.
Bagwell, Biggio, and Berkman could be awesome as a managerial team. Of course, you've got to leave Gary Pettis at third.
Does it bring up – do you end up with too many comparisons between those teams that only went to the World Series and these teams which won the World Series?
I don't know. Can there be too many comparisons when you're comparing superlatives? I mean, Secretariat wasn't no man of war. Okay, I'll take that.
Sheriff Louderback checking in. Let's see who else. Amanda Smith-King, good morning. Tom Price, Kerry Bump. Judge Posey's in. Jarrett McCrugan, good morning.
B. Small says he wanted Abbott and Costello.
Stuart Martin.
Who's on first?
Yeah, it works.
What? What's on second? That would
Jonathan
be awesome.
Williams says if Bags coaches how he advised this offseason, we will be back to number one picks.
Yeah, because we would be terrible. I think you're right. I don't. He's just so matter of fact, and what I don't love about Bagwell, make no mistake, I've actually been in instructional settings where I've listened to Lance Berkman talk about hitting, and there is a whole different level. And you see it even at the college level when there's just a whole different level of where. Thank you, Todd Troggett. There's a whole different level of hitting instruction and things like. But the way Bagwell talks is like it's always one click short of. Well, in my day, nobody would have ever done that. We would have always done this, and I'm like, it's if he's in the booth, well, he should have been sitting slider there. Why was he swinging at that changeup? Thanks, Jeff. I forgot you batted 950 that one year.
Reacted, and he's reacting. And stuff.
Yeah.
Jonathan Williams, interesting comment. If Bags coaches how he advised offseason, we'll be back to number one picks. How expand on that a little. What did he advise? Was he the one that kind of ran Gurriel out and said we don't need him, we can get Abreu? Was that kind of his call? I don't know. I still contend that some of the problem is the chemistry in the locker room, and I think Gurriel being gone is a big part of that. I don't know if you couldn't have found a way to keep him around.
It was $3 million. I'm not being flippant, but it was $3 million in a lineup that's a couple of $100 million.
Yeah.
I will tell you that last night, Jose Abreu really played first base. He had some fantastic defensive stops.
Defensively, he's been as good as Yuli, but I don't know that he brought, everyone is expecting 36 home run Jose Abreu, and he hasn't been there.
Yeah. I wonder what he'll do next year.
So
it was an experiment. At the time we got him.
2-year experiment. We're going to have to keep him next year, too.
At the time we got him, I was like, man, I hate to see Gurriel go, but man, we got him 2 years ago. This guy was a MVP. Yeah. So you got to respect.
Got to win them all now. Basically, got to win out to make the playoffs and go in on a roll. They don't want to clinch and then lose a couple and head in without any momentum.
Agree. Now, if they just end up in the wild card, they have to play right away.
3-game series, I believe. Yep.
Do we have any idea who the West's wild card recipient will play?
Tampa Bay. No, Tampa Bay gets a bye. First two, I believe the final wild card would play Minnesota. I think the winner of the AL Central.
And can you imagine how exciting this week would be if it was old school and only the division champion went on?
There you go. Jonathan Williams confirms what I thought, that he was for bringing in Abreu and didn't feel the need to keep Yuli, and he's also very anti-analytics for talent evaluation. I think the analytics has a part.
You got to be a baseball mind. You've got to look and see. You've got to look and see baseball players. Stats only tell you so much, and I don't mean this with any malice, but honestly, I saw a deal the other day. One of my Aggie friends said that the Aggies were number 3 in the country on third down conversion defense, and they had forced more punts than anybody other than 4 teams in the whole country. I go, okay, so you're 3-1. Isn't that what we're really looking for? Yeah. You're 3-1.
Baseball's, but you still, I don't know. The analytics in all sports only tell you so much. I can tell you, it's always funny when I watch a team and somebody goes, well, the analytics show me this. And I'm like, my eyes showed me that.
Right. Junior Simple says, what stats don't tell us, Brent Will. Ricky King, thank you for the happy birthday. Be Small, still clinging to 6 years ago, just bang the can. What's funny about
Please remember the Astros won more road games in the playoffs that year.
That's right.
Than they did home games.
That's right. So. And they're still winning more road games than home games. And it's worth noting that now we do know there were at least 4 or 5 other teams that were doing just as egregious.
And teams with more historical significance in the major leagues than the Astros.
Red Sox, Yankees, Dodgers. Be Small will be the first one to tell you if you're not cheating, you're not competing. Baseball's a cheating game. There's a reason that after every half inning, the umpire checks the hands and glove and under the cap of every pitcher, because the game within the game is how to get the fingernail file on the ball. There's a reason they take a ball out of play after almost every pitch. So that Mike Scott can't scuff it, throw that split finger, and have a no-hitter to clinch the division. There's a reason these things happen. Yeah. Baseball is a cheater's game.
Gaylord Perry, woo! Remember that one?
He used to have Vaseline.
Yeah.
When he
or
would
Necro.
take his
It was
cap
one of Necro's,
off,
maybe.
There was like a big old blob of stickum under the brim of his cap.
B. Small says, unfortunately, the Rangers only had trash bags in the dugout.
Right?
Yeah, you can rattle those things, but you got to be loud.
What if it was your job to clean up the Astros dugout after every game, and between the spittle and the seeds and the gum wrappers?
Well, did you throw out those trash cans that were bashed up?
Ugh.
Oh, there's another trash can. They must have been mad after tonight's win. Kicked it. Big dent in it.
Unbelievable.
So what do you think is going to happen in Washington, D.C.? Hopefully, maybe tomorrow we'll get a chance to talk with our Congressman Michael Cloud about it. But do you think they're going to shut things down? They got a few spending bills on the agenda for this week. But what do you think? And they couldn't separate, or Mike McCarthy, Speaker of the House, would not separate the Ukraine spending from the defense bill.
He wouldn't. He's lumping that all in as one defense. Well, on one hand, I think he's accurate, right? Because Congress has basically said defending Ukraine is in our best military interest. It's in NATO's interest. It's in the world's interest. If that's the case, then their spending to be accounted for as a sub-account in military spending is probably smart. But $300 million is just, I mean, folks, I'm sorry, $300 million, you can win that in the lottery. It's not like it's a big enough number to get too upset about. It's all politics. It's not all progress or relative importance. I asked Michael Cloud, do we shut it down? He may try to call tomorrow. He's on a flight right now to D.C. They have votes. They have appropriations bills, 4 things they're trying to vote on today. And I asked Michael, do you shut it down? I mean, last time we didn't shut it down. We gave them a blank check, and yet here they are back at the trough again. We're going to have to shut it down.
I heard, and I didn't catch the name of the elected representative who compared the continuing resolutions that we continue to pass, like giving a crack addict more crack in hopes that it will stop their addiction to crack.
Why they got to talk about Hunter like that? I mean, leave Hunter out of that. He's just a private citizen. He's not elected.
Junior Sample says shut it down. Steve Kidder says shut it down.
I agree. I say shut
do
it
too.
down.
And here's the thing.
Cloud
and again,
said it costs more to ramp it back up. That's what he said. He goes, I'm just telling you the sad truth is because all these people, we shut it down. And 18% of the government, let's say, is shut down. Well, when we bring it back, we pay them for back pay, and we didn't get the work. Although
I would argue we're not
anyway.
getting the work
They're
anyway.
Not working
so yeah,
anyway. 25% of federal government employees do nothing. I'm convinced of it. They do nothing.
Jared McCrugan says 10 years ago, I did not foresee Ottawa and Washington becoming the dumpster fires they are, and arguably ours is bigger, not smaller.
Yeah.
Well, Ottawa, I mean, on the world stage, Ottawa is smaller. Canada's dumpster fire might be bigger. You're right with the boondoggle that's become India.
Well, now that Trudeau's a drug runner, he's a narco mule, bringing fentanyl back in on
CanForce One. Yeah.
Con Air. Craziness.
It is. It's ridiculous.
Did they actually find drugs on the plane?
The drug that sniffing dogs apparently did. But then again, now you look at how it's played out and the fact that India's mad at us and expelled our diplomats because we basically accused India, or Trudeau accused India, of having a role in the killing of a prominent Sikh political opponent.
Tell the truth. Honestly, scale of 1 to 10. Trudeau, smart. 1 being low.
1.
Okay. I have to observe and say that Justin Trudeau is just not a very smart man. Now, I'm not saying he's not smarter than me. I'm saying I'm not qualified to run Canada either.
Neither is he.
I just don't think he's remotely qualified to run the country.
He was a drama teacher. Not knocking drama teachers. I've known a couple smart ones, Mr. Whitehead, if you're listening. But Trudeau was nothing there. Church is 0.5.
Okay, 0.5. There
He
you go.
drops it
I
even
didn't know
lower
we
than
could
me.
drop fractions and decimals, but okay, I'm with you. And Jared's been pretty conservative and pretty smart all the times he's commented on the program.
But I'm 13 to 18% of the government actually shuts down.
Non-essential services. It's not. You know,
I think there's a couple that might, but still.
I was reading a deal the other day. They're coming after your Social Security. Come on, man.
Not true.
That's not true.
No.
I'm even close to getting there, and I'm not worried about it.
No. But I think if nothing else, it might set a. But here's the problem right now, and it's not just a Democrat thing, although all the Democrats are in favor of this or not doing this, and there's a bunch of Republicans in favor of not doing this either. All they've asked is to cut 1%. 1 penny out of every dollar spent
Shouldn't be
out of
that
the
hard.
budgets.
Seek to be more efficient. Shouldn't be that hard. No government runs so lean that it can't cut 1%.
Jonathan Williams asked a good question. If non-essential, why have them?
Well, we agree. I mean, if it doesn't involve securing our shores, balancing the budget, protecting the border, being military, if it does, and leaving us alone, then what good is it? All these government services, none of them are essential. They don't need to exist.
No, and then you've got a bunch of them up in Washington D.C. And watch how this will play out. I don't think we're going to shut things down. I wish we would. We're going to get close. They'll come to a 11th hour compromise that'll see spending. Here's how they'll frame the spending cuts. In the 11th hour, on the 11th day of the 11th month, they'll tell you they've cut spending, and all they've done is reduced future spending and what they were going to spend in the future. So they can tell you and play games.
Will lower the rate of inflation.
And 80% of the American people, honestly, are too stupid to realize the game that's being played. They'll cut future budgets and call it a spending cut when they won't actually cut any spending at all, because future spending, or we're only going to cut what we propose to spend by 10%.
Right. We were going to have a 10% increase in taxes, but instead we're only doing 8%, essentially giving you a 2% tax reduction. And Betty says, what should be done if you're going bankrupt? I think that Congress should establish itself as the conservator and monitor every single penny spent by the government, which is done by the Appropriations Committee, which our own Michael Cloud sits on. And we should manage the spending of the government as if, it wasn't our money.
But here's the problem, too. Everybody on the right, wow, this $33 trillion debt is unsustainable. No, it's not. Because the only branch of the government that doesn't really have to worry about it is the federal government. They can just keep printing money.
That's right.
So the spending level is sustainable. It ends up hurting us because our dollar's weaker. It doesn't have the power that it has.
And our taxes
It's
go up.
devalued. Our taxes go up. The cost of goods that we buy continue to skyrocket. And the world looks for another currency to buy oil because the dollar continues to get weaker.
Which, by the way, we'll get to that. But, Nadeline, thank you. What they'll do is you'll get this, what's it called, BRI, BRIM. Now, what is the deal? BRIS, the Russians, Iran,
Brazil, and
Brazil.
I can't remember
That
it's
what they'll
called.
do is they'll all get together. They've all figured out the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So the Saudis and
India
are going to get together and they're going to say, you know what, we all want to buy our oil from China in yen. And the next thing you know, the dollar's out. And when the dollar's out, the U.S. is broke.
Jonathan Williams says, I'll pass a 20,000-page spending bill after having 1 hour to review it.
Yeah.
I think one thing they did change, though, is the 1 hour to review things. I think they have to have 3 days now.
But still, 20,000 pages. Yeah. I mean, Michael's got say 5 people in his office. Every one of you read 4,000 pages and give me a synopsis in the next 2 days.
Get on it. I mean,
Yeah.
you're talking 2.5 War and Pieces.
Absolutely.
Be small says, fill it to the rim with brim.
Right.
I was thinking that too. Junior Sample says we're sending $40 million to the Cook Islands. Why? And will we know where it went? No, we'll never know where it went.
I'm rubbing my forehead on this microphone, hoping that it shocks me. Just dealing with B Small. Just hoping for some feedback. Whoa!
Yep. Fill it to the rim
Crazy.
with brim.
Folks, Atzenhofer and Atzenhofer.com since 1926. Atzenhofer is Victoria's dealership. Reach out to them today for a new Chevy, Mazda, Mitsubishi.
They've
The
got
new Mazda.
the CX-90's out. It's a 2024 model.
The interior's amazing. I really
2025, we'll see next year for 25, we'll see the CX-70, which will be kind of in between the 550 and the 90.
somewhere like that, like 70s, kind of between 50 and
right
90.
in
It's
between.
almost like it's meant to
slot in there.
think you that. Yeah. So what about, is it possible that instead of going like Toyota made Lexus, Honda made Acura, is it possible that in certain models, Mazda's just elevating their game to a more elite vehicle? The interior of this vehicle is lovely, and I think
This
they're taking a
replaces
cue
the
from
CX.
Genesis.
This replaces the CX-9,
It's the CX-90,
and
now.
they take it and turn it up 10 notches.
Then they'll put the 70 in between the 90 and the 50,
Absolutely.
almost like that's where they want it to
That's
be.
where they want it to be.
Mazda.
But
Mazda's
Mazda's skipping the luxury brand. They're just taking Mazda to a new level.
stacking them deep, selling them cheap.
Selling cars like candy bars.
Just down the road from higher prices on the Navarro Motor Mile.
If the flags are flying, people are buying.
If you don't buy it today, you can buy it tomorrow because we'll be here.
You can buy it from somewhere else, but then you got to drive it.
There you go. That's what we got. Atzenhofer.
Get by it today.
AJ's Detailing. Once you buy it, take it over. Let AJ put a ceramic coat on it. They'll offer you one at the dealership, $2,000, multi-shield, all these different things. Get it. Some of that stuff's really good. But get over to AJ's and let AJ put a ceramic coat on it, protect the paint, UV detailing, UV ray protection.
Support a small business.
There you go.
While
A
you're at
great small business. Armor Air, same thing, 579-0966. When it gets hot, when it gets cold, let them come out and tune up. They can check your dryer, your compressor, your coil, clean your coil. That way you're ready to go next summer while they're there. Say, hey, can we fire that heater up and just see how it's working?
Folks in Jackson County who lost power yesterday and maybe their AC unit's not working the way it should because of power surge or something, Armor Air can come fix that for you as well.
Is there really any worse feeling than, it's one thing if you go home and you find out your refrigerator's been out.
Yeah.
Is there a worse feeling than you drive up to your house and you go, what's that clattering sound? And you find out it's your AC unit?
Or you walk in and it's 85 degrees because it hasn't run all day.
I don't know if you've had to buy anything like that lately, folks, but air conditioning units are expensive. Like you're going, man, I bet that's $500. No, let's try $5,200.
That's why everybody's going to ductless mini splits.
Reach out, mini splits.
Mini splits.
You're so Canadian.
Gray Barn Design.
Reach out to Armor Air.
For all your decoration needs, whether it's a wedding, a birthday,
A quinceañera.
quinceañero.
Nice.
Um,
So close.
Christmas is just around the corner. If you want Cheryl to decorate your house and your home and make it very Christmassy, give her a call,
Hey.
discuss budgets.
She'll come out in February and do it for a deep discount.
There's-
After
yeah.
the holidays. She does holiday decorating.
Some people are keeping their Christmas trees up all year long now.
Yeah, a
Just
lot of
changing the theme on them.
Yeah.
Quite understood that. It's not a Valentine's tree. It's a Christmas tree. Come on, folks.
People do that now. I know some of y'all know this, but they do that now. They put up the Christmas tree. And then after Christmas, they take it all down. Then it's a Valentine's tree. And then
it's
they
the
take
St.
it down,
Patty's
and it's
tree.
an Easter tree, St. Patty's tree, an Easter tree. And the thing is, that was developed by somebody that makes ornaments. Yeah, like
Well, it's all
like,
marketing hallmark.
like Great Grandparents' Day was developed by Hallmark. Just crazy.
Yeah. Yesterday,
What?
apparently.
You didn't buy a card? Have you bought a card in a store lately?
No.
I'm not kidding you, Ash. It's just a card, and you'll flip it over, and they're like $5.99.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I've just seen them all because I'm, get a little older. But if you read the poetry that's inside a lot of them, I'm like, who wrote this?
I don't read the poetry. I look for funny cards.
There
Much
you
better.
go.
Give Cheryl a call at the Gray Barn, 920-6803. She can help decorate your life and your Christmas, too.
That's right. I remember the cards you gave me when my dad passed away. It was hilarious.
Your dad thought it was funny.
Yeah.
Junior Sample says, try 29 grand for 2 units in ductwork. Thank you, EPA.
B. Small says, nobody has a budget to discuss for decorating their home for Christmas. No, it's out of our...
You'd be surprised.
It's out of our, reach. They tell us what it's going to be.
Patrick John Welder wishing you a happy birthday.
Thank you, Mr. Welder. He says I'm 39 and holding. He's getting closer to that himself. Got that little bit of gray hair that women go nuts over.
Scott Tomko says they need to get all the extra stuff out of new vehicles and make them affordable again. I don't need all the electronic doodads.
Right?
You're one of the few. I bet you if you put a kid in a car that had roll-down windows, they wouldn't know what to do with them.
He'd suffocate.
They would have no idea how you turn the air conditioning on one of those.
True.
240,
If you had to slide the deal to AC.
Or 240 air conditioning, roll 2 windows down and drive 40.
There you go.
So the writer's strike is almost ending. In fact, enough confidence that Saturday Night Live and the folks at NBC say, we're going to be back and set to return in October. I think the writers were looking at, was it this one, residuals?
They want
no, the actors wanted the residuals. But apparently negotiators for the Writers Guild have said that they think we're in pretty good shape to move forward.
I bet that guy that owns Taylor Sheridan, is that his name? The guy that owns Yellowstone? He's probably the guy that ended the writer's strike. It's like, hey, I'm making way too much money off of this deal.
Not making enough. I'm not making any right now.
It's time for you to come back.
Yeah. So, and then they're going to reboot The Office. This is how bad it's gotten in Hollywood. Is the BBC version of The Office with Ricky Gervais lasted, I think 2, maybe 3 seasons. NBC brought it over here with an American reboot with Steve Carell. Struggled for the first year. They stuck with it, and then it took off and was a smashing success. Now they want to reboot it again because they've got nothing else in Hollywood.
What's funny is I never watched an episode of The Office that I didn't think was funny. Really funny. But I never got hooked on The Office.
It wasn't one of those that I get to watch every week, but when I catch an episode and I see it in rewind, it'll hook me. Absolutely. But it wasn't one of those must see every week.
I could go back to episode 1 of Seinfeld and binge watch for weeks. And I was never a huge Seinfeld. I watched 1,000 of them. But I was not like I was with MASH. When MASH was on,
MASH was one that. See, you're a little older than me. You might have appreciated MASH.
You didn't like MASH that much?
No, not when I was younger. As I got older, I did. But then I understood the Korean War and some of the concept.
That was just the context. There was a lot of social justice comments in there and all that. A lot of liberal stuff in the program. But the writing, there was never a misplaced word. It was like if Hemingway had written MASH. Never a misplaced word.
And even the ins and outs of Trapper John and Colonel Frank and different players, they never missed a beat.
No, that's right. They were... Yeah, amazingly, when Colonel Potter showed up, he took over for Henry. And, like, one of the moments where they let you know that war is hell, the thing you don't think about was when McLean Stevenson, who was Henry, that guy, Henry, then nobody called him Colonel, when he got to go home, instead of letting him leave the show, he was retiring. Everybody knew it, when they killed him. His helicopter got shot down. That was the reminder.
Well, because wasn't he leaving to another network to do his own show?
Right.
There was no way they were going to bring him back.
Right there over NBC, his helicopter was shot down.
B. Small says Elf hooked him.
Alf.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Nice.
Doesn't surprise me.
He's a deep thinker,
yeah.
that guy.
Looks like our first M1 Abrams tanks are set to begin to arrive in Ukraine. We had pledged to send 31. We're a little bit late, aren't we?
Wow.
This war is turning into
Don't say
Vietnam
it.
2.0.
Don't say it.
Currently without any American troops that we know
That
of.
we know of. I'm sure we have some advisors on the
Well, we
ground.
do. And we know there's a lot of expats who have gone over there to fight. I believe some of those are being held by the Russians and who we're trying to negotiate to get back.
Yeah.
But, Michael Atkinson was in here yesterday saying that Ukraine's making advances. Almost 500,000 Ukrainians have died in this conflict. There's no advances on the Ukraine side. They might get a small incursion here or there, but they have no chance to win this thing.
This is really interesting. For those of you that have raised children, you wake up in the morning, your 4-year-old has a sore throat and yada, 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 and you're going to yourself, why do I have to go to the doctor? The kid needs some amoxicillin. That's what it is. Got a tonsillitis. Costco.
Which we don't have here.
Which we don't have here.
But Sam's Club is probably close behind.
Certainly. Costco is soon to offer members virtual primary care. Many of us know this as Teladoc, My Health Insurance. Many of the big United Healthcare, Blue Cross Blue Shield, they have Teladoc.
At no copay.
No copay, which is beautiful because you can literally Zoom. I mean, this is one of the progresses of COVID. You can have a Zoom meeting with a physician, and I've done it. Yeah, look, I still have my tonsils. I'm 60 years old. Every now and then I'll get a little flare up. I just need an antibiotic. And okay, what are you allergic to? No, okay. Costco says we're going to offer that to our members for $29. And I don't know if it's $29 a month, if it's $29 per visit.
That's what it sounds like, yeah.
How many of you, instead of going and paying a $15 copay and dragging yourself to the doctor's office and having to sit there with a mask on, would pay $29 to go online?
Yeah, you could be driving somewhere, pull over in the parking lot and do your visit.
Yeah. By the way, this is my shameless promotion of what I do for a living. If you or your business is insured through United Healthcare on your health insurance, call me. Because I don't know if you've gotten the memo yet, but United Healthcare is getting out of the healthcare business. It's just going to be United. I think they're an airline. I don't know what they do. But we have Blue Cross, we have Aetna, we've got every market for health insurance on the planet at GSM.
Except United.
Just give me a call. We've got United too, but we're moving people over as quick as we can.
Well, because they're going to get out of there.
Yeah, they're done.
Yeah.
Zip, done, nada, no mas.
If you've got any other trash provider, you want to move on over to White Trash Services.
What a great job
County.
they do.
They do a great job.
Tomorrow's your day. Don't forget to put your can up.
No, I won't.
550-1826.
Weekly service, whether you need dumpsters, roll-offs, demolition services, White Trash has you covered. White Trash Site Services, they'll come and just clean a lot for you.
There you go. Went Services, Went Generators, turnkey generator service. I guarantee you there's some people in Edna today who are saying that's it. We've been talking about it for 5 years. Let's call Went. Power lines were down, tornadic activity reported. That's when you need your own whole house generator. Went Services can do it turnkey.
And they'll get you the one that you need that's the right size for your home. You get
Absolutely.
a smaller home, you don't need 24,000 kilowatts.
That's exactly right.
Or
Then USA
24
Concrete
kilowatts.
Coating. Put down a tough as nails, polyurethane coat that won't crack, stick, peel, or fade. Reach out to Charlie Garcia, the singing cowboy, and allow him to
Check out their Facebook page. Look at the before and afters. They're
Yes,
awesome.
USA Concrete Coating on Facebook. And the chopping block this week, they're
Lean
having
ground
Yes.
beef, $6.99 a pound. This is 90-10 meat to fat ratio.
It is a wonderful.
Yeah.
So when I buy 90-10, I like to cook it on a flat griddle. It's very lean. And if you cook it on a grill, sometimes it can get a little dry. You know, if you overcook it. You got to know what you'd have to be me or Ash to do it on a grill. But on a griddle, you just cook it till it's good and tan on both sides and eat it. Chopping Block is having right now is a great time to go grab a bunch of their meat
Yep.
and freeze it.
Freeze it. $6.99 a pound.
It's
It's
that
awesome.
time. You can take it out in 2-pound packages, throw it in a pot, and make chili. Now's the
sauce.
time to do it. Spaghetti sauce, which is
Hamburger
kind of like
soup.
chili.
Hamburger soup, you could do that too.
You told me that you had a recipe for that. I like those bow tie pasta.
I made some hamburger soup the other day. It was really good.
Sometimes Dawn, in her quest to cut carbs, she'll make a big old pot of stew, and like for me, she'll put in like 8 bow tie pasta.
That's it. Yep.
We ration them out.
That's what I do. I don't throw it in the soup because then it soaks up all the juice. Even if you pre-cook it, I find it a little bit. But just
How you doing on that Paravita challenge?
Had their honey mustard chicken, potatoes, and green beans last night.
Was it good?
It's very good.
I had one last night called the smothered steak.
That one's really good. I've had that
And
one
it
in the
came
past.
with cream potatoes that were fantastic, and then I found out they were really cauliflower.
Yeah.
I did not know.
It was good.
Dawn said, "That's cauliflower." I go, "No, this is."
You got
potatoes."
COVID? You can't taste the difference?
Yeah, couldn't smell it. It smelled like chicken, and it had green beans. It was wonderful.
Yep.
It
Stop
really
on by
was.
Paravita Wellness today.
And if you haven't gone in and tried it for lunch, go by Massimino's $10. But
Take
when
them
you
back
tell
to the
them,
office.
I'm with Wade and Carter.
Oh, yeah, I'll give you $1.
10% off.
But then you just take it back to the office, heat it up in the microwave, and you're good to go.
Let me tell you the game, folks. Like, I'm going to peel back the curtain for you. If you don't go by and try it and take the Wade and Carter discount, they're going to quit advertising with us. It'd be nice if we had a little communal support. Go by there and check it out. You'll be glad you did. The food's great. Dawn had something last night that was a turkey something. It had cornbread on top. Have you had this one?
No, I haven't had this one.
It was heavy, but it was still only 300 calories. It was like, it wasn't chili. Thank you, Mr. Hartman, for the birthday wish. I'm trying to remember what it was. Dawn, what was it, babe? It was really good. What does Patrick John Welder think? Because he's pretty good.
Mainstream media, Ukraine is gaining ground and can win this war. Wade and Carter, Ukraine doesn't have a chance in hell to win this war.
That's exactly right.
That's why I tune in. Truth is important.
Look,
they don't. I mean,
the only way they have a chance is if Russia decides that world opinion matters. World opinion is fighting this war. The people on the front lines that are killing each other are sadly inconsequential to the result. The Ukraine may kill more Russians than Russia kills Ukrainians. At the end of the day, the world, the public court is who's going to decide who wins this war. If Vlad Putin, for 1 minute, can get people to quit looking at Zelensky as a martyr, as a hero, as Tom Cruise trying to win the battle for the firm, if they can get the world to quit looking at Zelensky like that and start looking at Zelensky as a greedy oligarch, which is what he is, then all Vlad Putin has to do is push a button and Ukraine goes away. They go away.
so $300 million more for Ukraine on top of the billions we've already sent them. Assume 10% of that. 10% of that just gets taken off the top for the big guy, which isn't inconceivable, and another 10% just disappears. So let's say 30% of it we don't account and have no way to account for it. So we're down to $270 million. How much of that has strings attached to it that if Ukraine is to spend it on military or even food rations for its people, it comes back to Northrop Grumman, Boeing. The military-industrial complex is getting rich off this war and is why they don't want it to end, which is why Congress doesn't want it to end, because they get rich off the campaign donations that come from our defense contractors.
Isn't it interesting that all this stuff with there was a lot of good comments up there, and I really appreciate that. Dawn called it chili pot pie with cornbread, Paravita, get by today. I find it interesting that when all this stuff went down with Hunter, I really felt like it was the first time I'd ever really heard much about Ukraine. And then in no time, there's a conflict and a war, and then you've got Zelensky. You know, he's on the Jimmy Fallon show. He's on The View. I mean, he's everywhere. He's a celebrity oligarch. He's a celebrity politician. It's very interesting how it's all going down. There's a lot of money changing hands. When you send billions of dollars to a foreign country with no strings attached, there's a lot of ways for other people to get it back.
Yep.
I found it interesting. There was a 60 Minutes deal. I sent it to you on Twitter Messenger yesterday.
I hadn't looked at my Twitter.
That 60 Minutes uncovered
X.
that the money that we have sent them, I'm not saying if this is good or bad. I'm just saying that 60 Minutes, which is a liberal haven to me, has uncovered that that money is not just being used to fight battles. It's being used to prop up farmers, provide seeds and equipment. It's also paying the way for 57,000 first responders, firemen and police officers, very much may be needed. I mean, you're in the time of war. I'm not saying that it's not justified. But if you believe in your mind that Congress sends them billions of dollars and that all it's doing is buying ammo and weapons, you're just a little off. That's not what's happening.
Well, that's all they tell you. But where are they buying the seed from? Probably from a company here.
Russia. They're buying it from Russia.
It's corporate welfare.
Yeah, they're buying it from Helena. They get it right here from Purina. I think both of those are foreign companies, but
Scott Tompkins says a bunch of the money's going to him jet setting all the world asking for more cash.
yeah, no kidding. You got to figure he's not flying coach. He couldn't come in his olive drab and sit down in the B-14, where am I? Can I have that window seat? Sure, Mr. Zelensky.
Boarding group C on Southwest.
He's just in line. Gets a little booster seat. He ain't big as a minute. Kind of hard to take serious.
Well, he's in camo, so you can't see him anyway.
Right. You can Google Zelensky's T-shirt. It's available. I'm sure he gets a cut.
Look
Is
at
it that time?
It is. The music's playing.
Hey, folks, we love you guys.
Happy
Hope you have a
birthday to
great
you, my
day.
friend. We'll see you at Brent's birthday bingo tonight.
Thanks, brother.
Palace Bingo, and thank you for joining me.